Did you know that in the wake of President Trump's aggressive tariffs in 2025, a shocking 8 countries have begun dumping their reliance on the U.S. economy, pivoting instead to forge stronger trade alliances with India? This seismic shift is reshaping global supply chains, boosting India's Make in India initiative, and challenging America's dominance in international commerce. From skyrocketing tariffs on key imports to retaliatory measures, these nations are seeking stability and growth in India's booming market. Stay tuned as we count down from 8 to 1, exploring each country's story with the latest 2025 updates. And if you love India and want more insightful content like this, make sure to subscribe right now. Coming in at number 8 is the United Arab Emirates, a key player in the Middle East feeling the sting of Trump's 25% tariffs on its oil and petrochemical exports to the U.S., imposed in January 2025 to counter alleged support for Russian energy routes. These tariffs have slashed UAE's U.S. exports by an estimated 15% in the first half of 2025, prompting a swift pivot to India. In June 2025, the UAE signed a landmark $10 billion deal to invest in India's renewable energy sector, particularly solar projects in Rajasthan, to bypass U.S. tariff barriers and tap into India's growing energy demand, projected to hit 500 GW by 2030. This shift highlights how tariffs can push allies toward emerging powers like India, where bilateral trade has surged 20% year-over-year. August 2025 updates show expanded UAE-India free trade agreements focusing on tech and logistics, potentially creating 50,000 jobs. Educationally, this move underscores the unintended consequences of protectionist policies, as the UAE strengthens India's role as a stable trade alternative, fostering mutual economic growth in a tariff-disrupted world. At number 7, Iran faces Trump's 40% tariffs on its non-oil exports, enacted in March 2025 amid tensions over nuclear talks and Russian ties, leading to a 25% drop in U.S.-related trade revenue. Seeking relief, Iran has deepened its economic ties with India through a May 2025 bilateral pact worth $5 billion annually, focusing on petrochemicals and agriculture. This transition teaches us how geopolitical sanctions can accelerate alternative partnerships. India's neutral stance allows it to import Iranian goods like pistachios and saffron without U.S. backlash, filling domestic market gaps. Recent 2025 data reports an 18% trade increase in Q2, bolstered by joint projects like the Chabahar port expansion, partly funded by India. This not only helps Iran evade U.S. isolation, but also enhances India's strategic presence in West Asia. The educational takeaway is clear. Tariffs can reshape alliances, promoting South-South cooperation and reducing costs for global consumers through diversified supply chains. Number 6 is Ethiopia, an African powerhouse hit by Trump's 30% tariffs on its textile and coffee exports since April 2025, targeting its belt and road ties with China, costing an estimated $2 billion in 2025. Ethiopia has responded by forging a July 2025 economic cooperation agreement with India, emphasizing agricultural tech and manufacturing hubs. This pivot illustrates the vulnerability of developing economies to U.S. trade policies, pushing them toward partners like India, whose self-reliance initiatives align with Ethiopia's goals. August 2025 updates show a 22% trade surge, with Indian firms investing $3 billion in coffee processing plants, enhancing exports and training 10,000 workers. This alliance mitigates tariff impacts while strengthening India's African footprint, offering lessons on sustainable development and resilience against protectionism, as Ethiopia gains access to India's vast market and technical expertise. Landing at number 5, Egypt grapples with Trump's 35% tariffs on its Suez Canal services and agricultural exports since February 2025, aimed at curbing Russian economic links, resulting in a 20% drop in U.S. export earnings. Egypt has countered by deepening ties with India through a May 2025 strategic partnership focusing on pharmaceuticals and tourism infrastructure. This shift educates us on how tariffs can catalyze realignments. Egypt leverages India's generic drug expertise with $4 billion trade deals, boosting bilateral trade by 25% in 2025. Recent updates highlight Indian investments in Egypt's new administrative capital, creating 30,000 jobs. By reducing U.S. reliance, Egypt stabilizes its economy, while India expands its North African influence, demonstrating how global South nations can counter protectionism with collaborative growth, ultimately benefiting consumers with affordable healthcare solutions. Number 4 is South Africa. Battered by Trump's 40% tariffs on its platinum and gold exports since January 2025, targeting its Chinese investment ties, with a projected $3.5 billion GDP hit. South Africa has ramped up its India ties via a June 2025 BRICS Enhanced Trade Framework, prioritizing mineral processing and automotive sectors. This teaches us how tariffs exacerbate economic inequalities, pushing resource-rich nations toward partners like India. 2025 data shows a 19% trade increase, with Indian firms investing $2.5 billion in tech parks for electric vehicles, training 15,000 workers. This cushions tariff impacts, secures India's mineral supply for green tech, and highlights the power of South-South cooperation in navigating global trade disruptions, fostering innovation and economic resilience. At number 3, Indonesia faces Trump's 19% tariffs on its palm oil and electronics exports since May 2025, targeting its neutral U.S.-China stance. Causing a 12% export drop to the U.S. Indonesia has strengthened India ties through a July 2025 investment treaty focusing on digital economy and spices, worth $6 billion. This illustrates how mid-tier economies use tariffs to diversify. India's consumer base offers alternative markets. August 2025 updates show a 21% trade boost, with joint EV battery projects creating 40,000 jobs. By pivoting from the U.S., Indonesia stabilizes growth, while India enhances tech self-sufficiency, offering lessons on resilience and mutual benefit in a protectionist era, where collaboration trumps isolation. Number 2 is Brazil, hit by Trump's 50% tariffs on soybeans and aircraft since March 2025, punishing its BRICS and Russian ties, leading to a 22% drop in U.S. shipments. Brazil pivoted to India with an April 2025 agro-tech pact worth $7 billion, focusing on biofuels. This highlights the risks of U.S. market reliance, encouraging shifts to dynamic economies like India. 2025 figures show a 24% trade surge, with Brazilian ethanol powering Indian vehicles and creating 25,000 jobs. This mitigates tariff damages, enhances biodiversity through research, and positions both as sustainable agriculture leaders, turning economic adversity into global environmental progress. At number 1, China endures Trump's 30% tariffs on tech and manufacturing since January 2025, costing $100 billion in U.S. exports. In a historic shift, China and India announced a business reboot in August 2025 during Modi's visit, with $50 billion in mutual investments. This educates on how tariffs can unite rivals. China's pivot diversifies supply chains via AI and renewable ventures. Q3 2025 data shows a 28% trade increase, including Huawei Indian telecom projects employing 100,000. By dumping U.S. reliance, China stabilizes its economy, while India emerges as a global hub, highlighting protectionism's ironic outcomes and fostering multipolar trade dynamics. And there you have it, the 8 countries shaking up global trade by pivoting to India in 2025, driven by Trump's aggressive tariffs. From the UAE's renewable energy bets to China's massive investment reboot, these nations are rewriting the rules of commerce, proving India's rise as a global economic powerhouse. If this video opened your eyes to the shifting world order, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and let us know in the comments which country's move surprised you most. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell for more deep dives into global trends. Together, let's keep exploring the forces shaping our world. See you in the next video.